So hey guys, it's Zyant again, and I'm going to get right into it today, and I want to talk about something that's really important about Titanfall, and that is, of course, the pacing. But I don't want to talk about just how it's paced, that it's fast, but you've heard that before. What I don't know if people have talked about is what the design elements of the pacing for Titanfall are, and I want to get into parts of the game itself that make it fast, that make it a game that's twitchy, that's constant action, and even when you're killing grunts like I am in this first part of the video, you're still having fun. So I want to start with what I just mentioned, the grunts. I think that there's a valid complaint that they're entirely too stupid. You literally could stand in the same room with 10 of them and they would never kill you. They would literally just look at you, shoot a couple times, say, he's not worth it, and then stand there stupidly while you shot them and got attrition points. But the thing about it is that Titanfall, the maps are big, and I mentioned this in my last video, that even though the maps are big, you always have someone to shoot at. I'm saying someone, not something. There's always at least one human player in reach. But the thing is, these are not Call of Duty-sized maps, where 6 players on the enemy team is more than enough to keep your attention. On these maps, it's not. And on these maps, they have to be big to accommodate the Titans, which I'll get into later or not at all in this video. That's probably a topic on its own. So you have to put the grunts in as interference, which is not a bad thing. It's just I wish the grunts were more useful, were more of a threat. But again, there has to be something to distract between between individual player battles. And I think that's a good thing, because as much as we disparage Respawn for putting in these absolutely mentally deficient AI bots, I think there's a very fine balance they have to strike, because if the bots are too good, I mean, they could give them all aimbots and make them shoot on sight, but then we would die a whole lot to bots, when the point is to play against each other in Titans or as pilots and have fun, not be constantly frustrated by bots that are essentially killing us from across the map with instant kill bullets. So again, while I think the bots need tweaking, I like that they're there because they act as a nice go-between between player confrontation. And another thing that's really important about the pacing, and this is something that you find out really quickly, is that not just that the player models move really quickly, but that infinite sprint is on by default. And I think this is something that Respawn took from Battlefield, or took a hint from Battlefield on. Battlefield would be a much slower game than it already can be if there was not infinite sprint. If you had 10, 20 seconds of sprint time, getting around a Battlefield map would be a chore. Arma 3, for me, can be something of a chore because you have about 10 seconds of sprint time. And again, you're supposed to be using vehicles to get around in Arma 3, but if you're playing Wasteland or if you're playing Arma 3 DayZ, there's not really a good way to do that, and it feels like, oh, I've used all my sprint time, now I'm just jogging everywhere. And so you have infinite sprint, and combine infinite sprint with no fall damage. That is the real key here, because infinite sprint with fall damage means you're always at risk to jump on a roof, and you have to be really careful how you fall and where you fall. Because if every single jump you make could hurt or kill you when you die so quickly in this game, suddenly the pacing slows down a whole lot. Because Titanfall is a game that prides itself on its verticality. You can't have fall damage, or even a perk that deletes fall damage. It must. It is by definition necessary to have no fall damage. And again, this is a futuristic shooter, so infinite sprint and no fall damage not only work as a game mechanic, they work in the lore as well. Then of course you have the idea of momentum. Now we've seen momentum in games before, something like Team Fortress 2, or any real game on the Quake engine has momentum in it. But Respawn has taken it to the next level. Not only can you speed up your character using an ability, while running increases your speed almost infinitely. There is a soft cap somewhere, but I've never found it. I've gone twice, maybe even 3 times as fast as my maximum sprint speed on Stim while I'm using wall running. And something like that, it doesn't seem like it should be that big a deal, but it's huge, and it's a core element of Titanfall's map design. Every wall you can get to is runnable, and the walls that you really need to be running are marked with these mesh plates, saying it's Respawn saying, without telling you anything, wall run here. These are good things. Use them. And even more important, there are almost no areas on at least the 2 maps we've played in the beta that you cannot go. Something like the new Infinity Ward's games that's really always struck me as annoying is they make places in the map you can see and that should be within the player's reach, but there's an invisible wall in the way. Or there's a plant that, you know what, it's a small plant, I should be able to get inside it. Nope, there's an invisible wall in there. There's a brush there that I can't get past. And I'm thinking to myself, Infinity Ward, no. If there should be access to an area, make it accessible. And Respawn understands that, and even the tallest points on these maps, barring a very few exceptions, are reachable. And I would be remiss about doing a Titanfall video on pacing without talking about the Titans. And again, it comes down to speed. Titans, for their size, are very, very fast. The player models for the pilots are exceedingly fast, but the Titans, for their part, are still very nimble, which is very important because you have these really large maps to accommodate the Titans. And at the time, Titans were these rumbling, bumbling behemoths that didn't go anywhere very quickly. It would get really boring. The Titan battles, which currently are not as fun as the pilot battles, but they're still very fun, would not be nearly as entertaining because you're in this giant mech that doesn't go anywhere very quickly, and it's just a hassle to use. So I want you guys to tell me what you think about the pacing of Titanfall, what you think, if it needs increasing, if it needs decreasing, what you're hoping for maps to come, and I will see you guys on the next one.